day. I just assume he's gone for the weekend. I just assume he's in Minnesota. He's probably ice fishing, right?
Yeah, of course.
He's got to be ice fishing. That's all. That's all
Ice
there is to
fishing, pond hockey, one of the two, something like that.
it. That sounds pretty good too. He's
Yeah.
at a buddy's cabin. He's hanging out, having a few beers. So we're taking over the show. Steve Bauer, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, we got Team Canada today filling in. The only Team Canada to make it to Friday,
Oh, that's
unfortunately.
right. Oh,
Our juniors
oh,
do it, but
that still hurts.
yeah, disappointing. But we'll pick up the
That was
slack
a
today.
weak Team Canada, I thought. Just going into
Yeah,
the tournament, I wasn't too sold on their chances. I don't know about you, but I just they didn't really capture my imagination all that much. I mean, it kind of played out really, really like kind of changed as the tournament went on, and I thought they had a shot, but I don't know. What
yeah,
did you think?
yeah. It didn't seem like the best possible roster. I mean, they didn't stack up all the superstars, all the scorers, and stuff like that, like they should be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
My buddy Slim Cliffy was pointing that out on Twitter, just saying they had too many role players and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
mean, they had some tough bounces, but they couldn't score goals, so that was kind of the biggest issue after that one big blowout game.
yeah, it's gonna happen. We can't win every year, right?
Yeah. Gotta let the other teams have it sometimes, right?
I just opened my new Christmas present, for my girlfriend here. Hockey socks.
Oh,
Not
that's
bad,
sweet.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not wearing them, but we'll get them on for next show. All right, so we got a 7-game slate tonight. Should we dive in?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Any macro things you're taking away so far, just from the slate in general?
Just looking it over, I think, like, I don't know, I haven't heard a lot of chatter, but I assume Colorado should be somewhat popular. I mean, that's the spot that I immediately went to.
Yeah,
Colorado at home against the Rangers. I think people might realize now that the top line is back together. So
yeah. I think like obviously the line sites have updated that, and they were really never apart. So
no.
I don't know where that like narrative came from. Like obviously, well, the coaching staff, I guess, like, and they were practicing together, but the reality is they had like very few shifts apart. So, but we'll dive into that one. Should we get into? Let's get into the first game on the slate. We have the Winnipeg Jets at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins implied for 3.5 total. The Jets implied for 3.1. The Penguins are minus 130 favorites. As far as news and notes go, I know Yossi Riikola is off. I think he's a healthy scratch tonight. Oli Mata is back up on the power play 2. For the Jets, Morrissey is on the power play 1. Bufflin is still out. Lines are the same for the Jets. I kind of obviously got to give him Morrissey an uptick there. He's going to see his minutes go up. He's going to see his power play time. I wrote him up actually in the power plays. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah. That's good to note that he's on power play 1. I know the first game that Bufflin was out, somehow they were assuming, or they were listing that it was going to be Joe Morrow, like out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I wasn't buying
they did that last time too. They put Trouba, I think, on there the last time Bufflin was out,
Yeah.
and it was just total guesswork. So yeah, that's kind of what I just assumed Morrissey would be on there.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like him. Obviously, that top power play is always a good spot. 5Ks, it's getting up there, but I think it's such a good role, such a good spot. His usage should be way up. I mean, he played 26 minutes last game, first game without Bufflin there. So
yeah. So I wrote him up in my power plays just because, like, I think that's a bit of a bargain. The 3 games that Bufflin missed around November, December, he averaged like 28 minutes a game, averaged like 2 shots, 2 blocks, and had 3 points. So generally, if you're getting that kind of production, you're probably priced in the 6K range. So I think that's a bit of a bargain for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I expect it to climb as the games go on. Like as he has more success, it should really go up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 5K is pretty reasonable there. And I imagine I haven't looked at the FanDuel pricing, but I imagine he's still incredibly cheap there. Like they're really
he's 44 on FanDuel, so that's even better.
It's slightly up from last. I mean, he was 41, I think, last time. So they adjusted, but not enough.
They're so slow to react to their pricing. Do you when from a macro sense, when you see stuff like that, are you predominantly one side or the other, or do you go to that site thinking that I'm gonna take advantage of that, even though the ownership might be higher?
Well, when I see the price discrepancies, I will go much heavier on a player for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Its value is so important, especially even if you're playing a lot of lineups, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, you'll have some lineups without him, so I'm not like you'll have all your bases covered if you don't. I don't care having too much of them or whatever, or him being a chalky play. So, but I mean, you can't ignore the value like that. Some guys are overpriced too, so yeah, just be price sensitive between the two sites. I think you have some kind of arbitrage between the two.
And I think as we'll see, I think there's a few pretty decent plays at D tonight. Yuso Rokel, I called him Yossi. Yuso. Anything on the Jet side? We were talking a little bit before we went live. You like both sides of this game?
Yeah, I do like this one. I mean, there's so much offensive talent on both sides. I usually like Winnipeg in general, especially if they're not really being topped up. I don't think they'll be super popular tonight on the road here. So those are the kind of spots I like to go to them.
People love to play Winnipeg at home generally.
Yeah. When they have better matchups. I mean, Pittsburgh's been playing well lately, and I think the top line's pretty expensive for Winnipeg. There's a bunch of other expensive options that are decent tonight, so they kind of go under the radar there. So I do like them a lot.
The only game on the slate with a 6.5 total. Everything else is sitting at 6. So.
Yeah, that too. And I imagine Pittsburgh's going to be slightly more popular in this one. Just they scored 7 goals last game. They've been playing much better recently. Hellebuck hasn't been playing well in net. He's been pretty poor lately. Just not terrible. I mean, 3 goals, 2 goals, 3. Yeah, not too bad. But when they're not facing a lot of volume, that it's not going to pay off so well.
Yeah, 916 save percentage in the month of December.
Yeah,
so that's not great. Not bad.
Yeah, it's not great either. So I'd be more likely to play maybe in this matchup where he's going to see more volume, which is kind of hard to say because I do like the Pittsburgh offense here. The way I see things kind of shaping up, it's going to determine how I'm going to play this one here. But I think that we'll probably see the lines match pretty evenly, like line 1 versus line 1, line 2 versus line 2. Yeah. I paid close attention to what Pittsburgh's been doing lately. They've been on the road for the last little bit since Christmas. I guess just after Christmas they played Detroit. Yeah, but we typically see Crosby against the top line. We'll see either the Brassard line against the second line or the Malkin line against the second line. One of the two.
And are there high danger chances a little bit, or chances against any better or worse for each line?
Yeah. So looking at the lines right there, if you look on Pittsburgh's side, the third line's their worst line there. That Malkin line looks pretty decent on offense. And if you look at the Jets side, the top 2 lines are pretty solid. High danger chances, their numbers that way. But first and third line are pretty solid. The second line, the Little Connor Line line, is really bad defensively, and that's kind of the one that we want to be targeting here. So I'm not certain if we'll see Malkin against them. I kind of think we will. Yeah. But there's also a slight chance we see the Brassard line there.
And Malkin is ridiculously cheap on DraftKings. They $6,100. That whole second line is kind of intriguing. Especially, I think I haven't checked Hornqvist's price yet, but he was about $5K last time out. So
yeah, he's $6K right now. Still reasonable because I think it's a really good spot. And Simone is only $3,200, so you get the whole line for just over $1,500 on DraftKings. So
Simone scored last game too.
Yeah, he did. He played pretty well, actually. Got a lot of results there. From a straight value perspective, I think that second line's really solid tonight.
Yeah, me too. That's definitely something I saw initially, and I'll be plugging them into a few lineups for sure. Yeah. Anything else on this game for you?
Yeah, so I like the Scheifele Wheeler line. I mean, they're not necessarily the best value, and they'll have a somewhat difficult matchup against the Crosby line, but I think they can still succeed in this spot. I think they're good enough talent-wise. Kind of a sneaky line. If you're going to be playing multi-entries and stuff like that, I'm kind of interested in the third line for Winnipeg. Is really cheap. If you want to pay
those guys, they're they're always under 3% owned, and every 10 games or so they just have an awesome game. So if you pair them up with Colorado 1 or something like that, I don't know. You're probably that's probably not a bad way to go.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sneaky. They have the best high danger chances 4 per 60 on their whole team, of all the other lines. They have the best Corsi 4 and high danger chances 4.
And huge 5v5 ice time share. They have more than the little line A Connor line last time. So 24% at 5-on-5. So not bad option. Yeah.
So if they're winning this game, they're going to see a lot more ice time because they're way more defensively responsible. Yeah. So things are looking good in that regard. If they're behind, maybe they see a little bit less. You throw out the line A line a little bit more just for pure offense. But
God, they are so cheap.
Yeah, very clear splits on a lot of these lines. Against a team like Pittsburgh that hard matches, I really like that kind of scenario.
Do you think that with Colorado 1 probably being the most owned line tonight, and then you're probably only going to have around, I don't know, 10, anywhere from 10 to 12,000 to go with your second line if you're stacking. Is that going to be? That's probably going to be a pretty popular choice, eh? Or do you
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
Well,
I'm always.
yes. Yeah. I mean, Colorado. Yeah. So Colorado's what 2,300 there.
23,000.
23,000. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty expensive, but they still, looking at Awesomo's rankings there, they're still A value. So that shows how good of a spot they really are.
I definitely think they're they're obviously due for a little rebound here after Colorado's lost. Is Colorado still on that massive losing streak?
Yeah, they haven't been. I can't remember the results last game, but I don't think it was very good.
Lost 6 in a row at home to the Rangers. This is a pretty solid bounce back spot for them.
Yeah. So I'm going to look to have a lot of them tonight, actually. But it's the matter of finding the right value lines to fit with them.
Absolutely.
And this Winnipeg 3 is kind of the sneakier one that I like.
Sweet. Let's move on. Nashville Predators at Detroit Red Wings. The Predators are implied for 3.2 goals for. They are down from 3.6. They open at 3.6. The Red Wings are implied for 2.4, and the Predators are minus 174 favorites. In terms of news and notes, we have new lines for the Red Wings. Anthony Mantha's probably back. And then it looks like Bertuzzi is up on the top line. Abdelkader is going to take his rightful spot on the fourth line, which is nice, I think. Yeah. Nashville Predators lines are the same, and I believe there's one more line change here. I was just trying to pull it up. The second line is still Nielsen, Vanek, and so Mantha slots in on that second line. And then the third line, who actually had a pretty decent game last game offensively, Taylor Rose, Rasmussen, and Athanasiou. Also not bad, super cheap. But I like these line combos a lot more for Detroit. What's your take?
Yeah, for sure. Mantha coming back, that really helps their depth, helps their offensive attack in a big way. Not so much defensively. I think that second line is going to be super weak defensively, but they do have the chance for offensive output. And I'm kind of glad to see Abdelkader off that top line, but who knows how long it'll last.
You just exactly. But you just upgrade that whole line?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel safer just like a two-man Larkin Nyquist there, but the second line it seems like a pretty solid value line there.
One of my favorite value plays is Nick Jensen on D for the Red Wings. He's at the bare min. He's getting an insane amount of ice time, like 25, 26, 27 minutes. He's not on either power play, but I think if you need a bare min defenseman, I usually don't like doing that, but that's not a bad option.
Yeah, no, I like that. I saw some of his stats earlier. Pretty solid recently as far as the shots and blocks, and the minutes.
It's not often you can get a top pairing defenseman at the bare man. So
yeah.
On the Nashville Predators side, obviously we've got our Yossi Ellis options that are always great plays and rank out really well for Awesemo. Lines look to be the same from their last game. And I think like the power plays are pretty evenly split at this point. Though Subban, ever since he's been back, he's not getting as much ice time as that Yossi Ellis pairing. Thoughts on the Nashville side of this game?
The power play is really the best target. Detroit has by far the worst penalty kill in the league over the last 10 games or so. It's just like incredibly bad. Some of the numbers they're putting up. So. And getting Mantha back won't help them. They did get Helm back, so I don't know how much that could help defensively there. Yeah. But overall, that's the power play is the spot for the Predators here. Even though it's been pretty poor, I think this is a good kind of get right spot. So I really like Yossi and Ellis are pretty solid plays tonight. Any power play defenseman against the Wings, really.
So how often do you compare? I see that like Yossi and Subban actually had like a 15% power play ice time share last time. That's something to think about. How often do you stack Ellis and Yossi in the same lineup?
More so on smaller slates, I think. On full slates, I don't usually like to go two defensemen from the same team. I think it's totally viable. They're both fairly. I mean, it's tough to fit them both in unless you go pretty cheap at forward there, a couple cheaper lines. Right. I mean, you can't do it with a Colorado or anything, obviously, but I think it's totally reasonable.
Nice. Do you have one prefer one or the other? Take the price discount.
Generally Yossi, but the prices kind of reflect the performance. So I kind of mix and match their four defensemen here, less so on Subban until he really gets anything going. But I mean, Ellis is clearly a better play than Subban right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Any Nashville lines? You just going Nashville 1 here, or?
Well, their top line looks really solid. Just numbers wise, their underlying numbers, that's been their best line since they've had these combos. Anything with Victor Arvidsson is worth playing. So yeah, right off the bat, that's kind of the line I like. I feel like they're going to play against Larkin for most of the game, which is not a terrible matchup, but it's not really a good matchup either. He's pretty solid overall. I just like to go against their weaker depth lines. There's just so much more, so much an easier path to success here. So
yeah, absolutely. The rest of that line, like Arvidsson's priced up on DK, but the rest of that line's still fairly cheap, so yeah, it's not the worst price for a stack.
I think Arvidsson's an awesome play tonight, though. Like individually, even in cash games and stuff like that, I prefer him to most of the guys around him that'll get decent attention, like Panarin, Kessel, Wheeler, Radulov. I mean, those guys will all get decent attention there. But I think Arvidsson, is a very solid play for a cash game kind of thing.
Nice. And for the Detroit side, you're just going mainly Detroit 1, or are you going to mix and match, sprinkle in some of this Detroit 2 with that power play 1 access?
Cheap? I mean, I'm not super interested in them tonight. I'll have them in MME formats, when I'm max entering kind of deal. I'll have some mix and match of them. I don't know what to make of this Bertuzzi on the wing. I think it's got to be better for Larkin and Nyquist there.
I've noticed that Bertuzzi's been really graded out well for Osmo, like even when he was on the third line there. So, and now he's down to like 3,300 on DK, 36 on FanDuel. So I would expect that's probably an upgrade there. But
absolutely, he's 3,300, so it's a pretty solid price tag there.
Yeah. Anything else on this game?
Goaltenders. Let me see.
Oh yeah, we haven't been talking about goaltenders.
You could take a stab at Howard at 7,100 for GPPs here, but I think Rinne might be a bit expensive for the likely shot volume he's going to face.
Yeah, that's fair. We get the Hurricanes tonight. We got Columbus, Carolina. Yeah, these guys didn't really. I mean, obviously Nashville minus 170 favorites. It's pretty decent. Detroit averaging 28 shots a game, so that's not exactly exciting there. I don't know what their home road splits are for shot averages, but kind of middling plays, I'd say, both goaltenders on this side. I don't know. They don't really pop for me at all, but I could see rostering them in correlation plays for sure.
Yeah, something like that, I think. Howard's had a decent season, and just at that price tag, they're giving up a decent amount of shot attempts and that, so you should see some volume here. Nashville, Nashville's been generating a ton of shot attempts over the last 10 games or so. Detroit's been giving up a lot of shot attempts, so volume's there. Yeah, I think the volume's going to be heavily on Nashville side here.
Second most shot attempts against per game for the Red Wings on this slate, so it's definitely a nice, probably a decent contrarian play to go with Howard tonight. I'm assuming it's Howard. Yeah,
I'm assuming it's Howard, but we'll see.
Yeah, we got likely.
I don't know if it's been confirmed, but that would be my assumption.
Nice. All right, let's go to game number 3. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets at the Carolina Hurricanes. Columbus implied for 3.1 goals. Carolina implied for 3. Columbus is a minus 113 favorite on the road. As far as line changes, news and notes, I don't have much. I think Stahl is probably out again tonight. Looks like the Hurricanes lines are exactly the same. They have some interesting value on the second and third lines I'm kind of intrigued by. And then on the Columbus side, also Carolina on back-to-backs, I believe, right? They were in Philly last night. So they return home for the waiting Blue Jackets. What's your overall take on this game?
I don't know. I don't really have a hard take on it, to be honest. I'm not super interested in it. I don't know why. I'm usually on Columbus, but on the road, it could be an okay spot. They might go under the radar a little bit here, but as far as paying up, I think there's other lines I kind of prefer. And looking at their depth lines for Columbus, there's nothing I love here. There's not a lot of weak spots that I like to target for against Carolina, and I think McElhinney is their better goalie, so he's in net tonight. I think honestly he's the most interesting play for me. Maybe
not the other side, Bobrovsky.
Yeah, so if you're paying up tonight, I prefer Bobrovsky over Rinne, something like that. Gibson's not a bad pay up option either, but Bobrovsky's worth paying up for tonight, I think, against
It's
Carolina.
interesting. Like normally, no matter who is facing the Hurricanes, they get just at least B value from Osmo and usually a B grade minimum. And Bobrovsky's got a C and a C tonight, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know why that would be, just because like obviously Carolina generates a ton of shots and they don't convert on their chances. So generally speaking, it's just like lock and load the opposing goaltender, but maybe not tonight. I don't know.
I think it might be a price-based value thing, just being up at 8,200. In general, I like to pay down a goalie when possible, but I think he's a fine pay-up option tonight. But just like 6,800 at home for McElhinney, I think he's worth a stab there at that price.
Yeah, absolutely. Carolina seem maybe warming up a little bit. I don't know. It seems like Aho and that whole line has been playing a little bit better of late.
Well, yeah, Aho, I look at some of the underlying stats. His expected goals match up right with his actual goals, unlike the whole rest of the team. He's generating quality in close and he's burying them. The rest of the team, they're just firing everything on net, and they don't really have the same talent, so they're not scoring. But Aho's been playing great lately. So,
thoughts on this Carolina 2 stack? 11,200 on DK, 11,900 on FanDuel. They've kind of been like the sneaky. That I think people are catching on to them now, maybe a little bit, but they're sort of a sneaky stack a couple weeks back. Obviously, that line has changed a little bit, but I kind of like this play. They actually fit in with Colorado 1. If you're going to do it, that'll probably be actually a very popular option.
You mean the Williams line or the Svechnikov?
Williams, Walmart, Martinook.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Williams is on the top power play unit, which is always good. I find, these sample sizes are kind of small now that they've changed the line slightly. Yeah. But, the Svechnikov one, they've only had 20 to 30 minutes or so together, both lines. Actually, I'm more interested a little bit in the third line. They have slightly better underlying numbers, and they should be pretty cheap too.
Is that together? Because Ferland's priced up, I think, just from his time on Carolina 1 earlier on in the season. So that's kind of like put me off it a little bit. Rask is almost a bare min, but so that kind of balances it out as a stack. But I guess they've been together for a couple games now, and they got some decent numbers.
Yeah, well, so looking at Alex's rankings, he likes the second line a little bit better. They're slightly cheaper than the third line. So I don't see anything wrong with them per se. I just Svechnikov, I think, is slightly more offensively talented than the guys on the second line. That's all. Yeah.
And I think if you're stacking, my guess is Carolina 2 would be the more owned stack. Svechnikov would be the more owned solo play. So if you're gonna stack probably and you want something a little bit different for large GPPs, I'd go Carolina 3.
Yeah. Just looking at the second line though, it's only 34 minutes together, not much, but they're very low high danger chances for and against, and the third line seems to have a lot more in both.
That's good to know.
Yeah. But so I don't know. It might not be heavy plays, but I think both those lines are worth sprinkling in just at those price tags. Looking at Columbus, I think their second and third line can be weaker defensively than the top line.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how they're going to match, but
what about the Columbus side of this game? Are you in on any preference for any of these lines?
I mean, they changed their second and third line last game. Small samples there. If I was going to play anything, I'd play other than the top line. It would be maybe the Anderson line, the second line, Anderson, Duclair, and Wenberg.
Duclair up on the power play 1 now in place of Zach Werenski.
So that's a nice spot. I think the top line they're always in play. They're kind of matchup proof here, and they may go a little under the radar.
Yeah,
they could score. They could do well. They're just not really a top. I don't know. They're not a top target for me. I'll have some of them though, and MME stuff.
Are you? I've been just firing up Zach Werenski for like the last 2 weeks without thinking about it, and he's been great. But now that he's off the power play, are you on him at all with the price up a little bit, or are you is this kind of a good fade spot?
4,900 is still a pretty good price. I'm not too worried about that. Jones at 5,900 may be a bit much. I'd rather just take the discount on Werenski.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at some power.
There's just other options in that range, that $5,000 range. Obviously Klingberg's pretty solid at that. We'll get to that, but I wasn't the Jones Werenski just didn't really pop all that much, but I'm guessing they're not going to be very highly owned. And like Jones is still averaging like 25 minutes a game lately, still on that top power play unit. So that might be like a kind of slight contrarian play tonight for GPPs.
Yeah, looking at Carolina's penalty kill, they're bottom 5 in the last 10 games and high danger chances allowed. So
nice.
I think on the back-to-back, teams tend to be tired, take more penalties, all that. I think it's a reasonable spot for their power play.
Awesome. Any other thoughts on this game?
Not too much. Just not. I don't know. It could be an okay game. It's just hard to kind of peg down, and you never know what you're going to really get out of Carolina if they're going to actually come through with results, or if, just play like trash. I don't know. It's hard. They're a hard team to read.
I would expect Columbus to be owned a little bit, probably like what 10-15%. I'm guessing.
I would say less, like 7 games, maybe 10%, or maybe in and around 10%.
That's not bad for them.
Could be less even.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We have fourth game of the slate. We have an intriguing one here. The Dallas Stars at home to the Washington Capitals. Capitals implied for 3 goals. Dallas Stars implied for 3.1. Stars are minus 110 favorites. News and notes: the Stars have some new lines. Jamie Benn got injured last game. Your boy, your play of the night, Vlad Nichushkin, is up on Dallas 1. And the other lines are kind of mixed up a little bit. Ritchie, Shore, Spezza, Faxa, Como, Pitlick. And then Janmark is down with Rupe Hintz on the fourth line with Eric Condra. So thoughts on the Dallas side of this game? You said in our chat that you would have to be paid $2,500 to take Nichushkin. I actually have the opposite opinion. I think that
I was just joking though.
Oh, I know, but it's like it's a legit opinion. I think, right? He's been terrible this year. But the at that price point, and just the fact that they kept them together for the duration of time after Ben went out kind of interests me a little bit. So I would assume, and they don't have that option. Like obviously Dallas has this rep of rotating out wingers on that line, so they don't really have that option this time. They might move Radulov off, who knows? But I would expect that there's a chance they stay together for the entire game. So, and just because he's on the power play 1, he's off the power play 1. They had him listed on the power play 1 earlier, but he might be off.
Yeah, let me see if I can find anything from the last game, what they did when Ben went out.
Daily Faceoff is listing Heiskanen on the top power play.
Yeah, actually, they did do that. Last game they had Fax up there some.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, so I wouldn't count on him being on the top power play unit, but yeah, you never know.
You might have to downgrade him a little bit there if that's the case. I don't know.
He's a min price punt, and it's a really good spot against Washington. It's just been some of the worst underlying numbers over the last little while. They were kind of due for some defensive regression there.
So now with these new Washington lines, with Kuznetsov centering Ovechkin and Wilson, Backstrom, Oshie, Verana, do you Backstrom has not been as good defensively this year. Do you have a preference? Are they going to hard match the Dallas 1 against Washington 1? And does it even matter? Like, are both of these Washington lines just susceptible to giving up chances?
I don't know if it's going to be a hard match, but I think you'll see Faxa be the shutdown guy against Ovechkin.
Yeah,
tends to do that at home. So I think it's very likely you see that line match against Ovechkin, and then Seguin probably plays more against the Backstrom line there.
So I've noticed I don't love that line with Como on it. I don't know. That's a new thing, isn't it? Wasn't it Janmark before or Ritchie? I can't
they do tend to mix those guys up a little bit. I know Como's been out of the lineup sometimes. They'll pull him sometimes. Yeah, Como himself, not great. Fax and Pitlick, maybe some light value there, but I think you probably just want to target the top line here, not much.
Not overthink it.
Yeah. I don't mind him. Like if you just wanted another, if you're MMEing and you wanted a line to sprinkle in to fit with Colorado 1, then yeah, I could see that line, the Faxa line,
right,
being decent values. But yeah, other than that, I probably wouldn't target them.
Miro Heiskanen or Heiskanen?
I say Heiskanen, but it could be either.
9 shots last game.
That came out of nowhere. He was quiet for a while.
Came out of nowhere, but maybe, that's obviously not. That's a one-off. But He's starting to get more minutes as the season's gone on. I've noticed
Yeah.
he was in the kind of 19-minute range, and now he's up to sort of 20, 22, 23. So I kind of think that it's probably a bit of a buy low candidate because he's only going to get better, 4,300, and he's on the power play 1 now. So that's not a bad price for him. Will you have any of him tonight?
Yeah, I do like that a lot, actually, especially if he does see power play time, because Washington's got one of the worst penalty kills recently. So I think it's a good spot. Dallas's power play has been playing better by the underlying numbers. So I think that's pretty good. And actually looking back at some of the game logs here, his shot volume was pretty decent recently, and he's been over 20 minutes for the most part, almost 25
Nice.
in a lot of his games. So I think very, very solid play, 4,300 there.
So
especially if you get some offensive luck.
So you're going to be going heavy Dallas 1 tonight?
I'll have some. Yeah. I think it's a pretty good matchup against Washington. They are tired on the back-to-back. And then Nichushkin there, his price helps bring down the overall price of the line. So I think that's pretty solid. I mean, if you're going ideally, you probably want to go Sagan, Radulov, and then either Klingberg or Heiskanen. Just as a 3-man stack there. But if you're MMEing and stuff like that, and you just play your standard 4-3-1 or whatever, I think that Nichushkin really helps the value of that line.
100%. Anything interesting you on the Washington side?
I haven't looked as closely into Washington as I would like. I'll have to.
It really didn't grade out well, and I was actually shocked.
Yeah.
They didn't grade out well last night against St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis had a lot of really good underlying numbers going into that game. So yeah, they didn't really have the best matchup.
Yeah, it's too bad Tarasenko wasn't playing in that one. I would have loved to have gotten him in, but they also another kind of weak ranking, I think, from Osimo tonight. Just let me double check that though. Oh no, yeah. See, B points grade for Washington 1, E for value. So that's pretty weak. That's pretty strange to see that generally from a top line. So I would say fade.
Yeah, I'm trying to look into some of Dallas's defensive numbers recently. I think at 5-on-5, they're giving up a decent amount of shot attempts recently, but their high danger chances aren't too bad.
Yeah.
And on the penalty kill, maybe bottom 10 as far as allowing high danger chances against. So I think it's a fine spot. Washington, this might just be a bias. It might just be a bias here, but I don't recall Washington ever being good on a back-to-back. I seem to remember them really struggling on back-to-backs in the past.
You think they're not good, or they're?
Yeah, I think they're not very good on the back-to-backs. So as much as I'd like to play them, I don't think it's the greatest spot. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. I wouldn't choose Washington tonight, like in limited lineups, maybe single entry, 3 max kind of deal. They wouldn't be a play for me there. But I think I would try to get exposure to them in MME formats, just because of the offensive talent and then almost negligible ownership.
Sounds good. I like it. Any other thoughts on this game?
Not too much. Goaltending. Khudobin's only 7,800, but I really don't like goalies against the Caps in general. It's just like a general rule for me. Copley, possibly as a dart. GPP dart only.
Yeah. I think like one maybe contrarian move here might just be to if you're gonna go with Dallas 1, to also stack them with Khudobin, because he's not going to be owned, and that's not going to be a popular move, especially since Bishop was terrible last game or shelled. So I kind of think that if you're looking for some differentiation, I'm expecting the Stars to be pretty heavily owned tonight. So that might be a way to get some lineup differentiation for GPPs.
Yep. Yeah, I like it.
All right, let's move on. New York Rangers at Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche implied for a slate high 3.6 goals. They are minus 200 favorites over the Rangers. The Rangers are implied for the second lowest amount of goals on the slate, 2.5, plus 180 underdogs. I know Jake Hardy likes the New York Rangers 1, which I think is intriguing. Colorado's been giving up a lot of chances lately. I will probably have a lot of the other side of this game. I think we all will. There's no secret there that Colorado 1's been amazing this year, and they're going to probably continue to. As far as line changes, I don't have much. I think the Rangers shuffled their bottom 6, but that's not exactly the most exciting.
Yeah.
They're still going with their 5 forward power play units. And for the Colorado side, I think everything is the same. The top line is back together. The Yost Jost experiment is over and never really began, and that's it. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, right off the bat, I think Colorado's obvious here. The Rangers, their big problem has been taking penalties lately, and just overall penalty kill has been terrible. Colorado, anytime they're at home and they get a good power play matchup, it's just fire them up, jam them in here.
Right.
So I'm not even going to think twice. I don't care about ownership. I'm just going to play a ton of Colorado 1. But also, in the same regard, I think you should have some exposure to the Rangers tonight. And yeah, Jake's right. That first line has pretty solid numbers for the Rangers. The Svenjad Kreider fast line, generating a high amount of high danger chances.
I didn't even realize Kreider had that many goals. Doesn't he have 20 goals? That blew me away when he scored it. I could not.
He has 20 now. Yeah.
I've apparently not been paying enough attention to the Rangers, but that's pretty impressive.
I've pretty much only been playing lines that he's on.
Yeah.
Whatever line he's on, I'm going to play.
For whatever reason, the Rangers, historically, have just been a really tough team for me to figure out. They always seem to have three lines that are sort of closely bunched together in terms of who scores, and I always pick the wrong one, so I've just sort of stayed off them. But it looks like that's changing right now. I would say New York Rangers 1 is probably clearing away your choice, especially at that price if you're going there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's the better line. And just looking at, back on the Colorado thing, they don't really hard match. And looking at some of the depth lines for the Rangers, smaller sample sizes, 30 plus minutes. You can't go crazy on that. But the second and third line have been terrible defensively, and even the top line's giving up 12 high danger chances per 60. So I think at 5-on-5, it's a decent enough matchup for them too.
Nice. So let's talk about stacking Colorado 1, because if you play them on DK with let's just say you pair them with Grubauer, you got 19,200 left for your three other forwards and two defense spots. It's an average of $3,840. Let's just say you take one super cheap defenseman, whether that's even if you just sort of plug and play
Jensen there.
Let's just plug and play Jensen. You can probably get another $4,000 defenseman, whatever you want to go to Lindholm or Heiskanen. So that leaves you with approximately 12 to 13,000, somewhere in that range for another line to pair with them. Is there anyone that stands out to you that you like?
Well, you can game stack this. They're at 13-8.
Yeah,
you can even do that, and that fits.
I like that a lot.
Reasonable defensive plays.
Yeah,
guys around the low threes, and you can get a mid-range goalie or something like that.
Yeah. Another one, I think both Arizona 1 and Arizona 2 are kind of interesting. I would just go with, I don't really think we'll get into that game. Maybe you have a take on which one's better, but I had an anti-Brad Richardson stance last game and he scored. So I've been burned too many times by that former fourth line grinder.
Yeah, really. I don't know what he's doing this year, but it's going off.
Right? What's in the water there? Yeah. Anyone else? Carolina 1? Can you fit Carolina 1 with them? That's probably...
what's their price? They're 14.5. Yeah, it's reasonable. Yeah, you could do it if you use Carolina goalie.
Right.
You used McElhinney.
Man, I don't hate that. Brock McGinn. Yeah,
that's reasonable.
That's not bad.
Detroit, you could do even.
Detroit 1?
Detroit 1.
Detroit 1. You just got to punt both defense spots, but that's also decent. Anyone down in the lower range where that you're paying 10,000, you can actually pay up for some defensemen.
Winnipeg 3 was one I'm kind of thinking.
Right.
What else we got? Taking a quick peek. Anaheim 2 is one I'm kind of.
Oh yeah, Anaheim 2.
In the late game.
And also, I know you hate Ryan Kessler with every bone in your body, just like me, because I'm a Canucks fan. So, but that line is ridiculously cheap, and Kessler's on the power play 1. Any interest there?
I don't know. I haven't really gone there. I've usually been Xing them out this season, but that could be another bias as well, though. So I should do some due diligence on that. Pay a little closer attention, into the numbers.
That line has a
2,500. 5 shots on goal last game. Okay. Yeah, I'll look at that.
They have a D grade from Osimo. They're actually graded worse than. Oh no, sorry, I'm on the wrong. I'm looking at Arizona here. Anaheim 4, Anaheim 2, Anaheim 3. 9,100 for that line. It's pretty good.
It's kind of a shame that they're burying Silverberg with those guys. But.
Yeah, their lines are so weird. We'll get to that game in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, super weird line combos for the Ducks tonight. Anything else? Any other thoughts on this game? Goalies, Rangers,
I don't
Rangers
think the
2-3,
Rangers.
Colorado 2-3.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself. Yeah, definitely not playing Georgiev there.
No.
Grubauer's a decent play. I mean, he's fine for cash too.
What do you, if you had to project Colorado 1 ownership, what are you guessing?
Probably depends on the contest, but I'm imagining they're 25%.
Yeah, I'm thinking 25.
Yeah.
23 to 25. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. 2 games left. We got 15 minutes before we got to get out of here. So we have the New Jersey Devils, fresh off Mackenzie Blackwood's first terrible game of the year, going to Arizona to take on the Coyotes. My computer stopped working here. Arizona 3.1 goals for, Devils 3 goals for. So this is actually like you kind of think that I just assume it's going to be a really low total game, but it's really not that much lower than a lot of these other games tonight than your Columbus Carolina game, for example. So that might maybe scare people off the ownership. I don't know. My perception is that Arizona is defensive and Taylor Hall's out. Arizona minus 113 favorites in terms of. I don't think that we have any line changes on either of these teams, do we? I think the Jersey changed their third and fourth line around a little bit, or they
Second
added
and third line. I think very slightly. They moved Miles Wood with Zajac and Coleman.
Right. And then they got some kid from the AHL whose name I'm going to butcher.
Never heard of him. Yeah. I won't be playing him, though. I'll tell you that.
No. He averaged a half point a game in the AHL. So generally speaking, whenever that happens, like your guy to guy averaging a half point, I just ignore it. You got to be like an elite AHL producer in order to get rostered. I think when you get called up. So Blake Pietela.
I'm going to guess.
5th round pick.
Yeah.
So that kind of rules out that whole Zaka line, I think, for me.
Zaka had been playing a little bit better lately too. I don't think he really had the underlying numbers to go with it, but for that price tag, he was doing decently on the defensive side and shot attempts and all that stuff as well. So
nice. What you got any
sprinkling in, but not tonight for him.
Do you like either side of this game?
I'll mix and match some of these cheaper lines. I mean, obviously Arizona 1 looks like a pretty solid option, just putting all their talent on one line.
Yeah.
And then New Jersey, I think you can make a case for both the first and the second line there. I'm wondering if I want to even touch Arizona too. Looking at some numbers here. Where are they? Yeah, that line was not bad. The second line, actually, the Richardson, Panik, and Hinostroza, 40 minutes, not too much, but very good Corsi for percentage and very strong high danger chances for.
Sorry, which line was that?
For the Richardson line. And top line there, they've only played 18 minutes together, so you can't really read too much into it. Seem poor defensively. I mean, any line that Galchenyuk's on is pretty poor defensively.
Mm-hmm. That trade has not worked out well. I think a lot of the analytics guys thought that was going to be a home run for Arizona, but
yeah, I thought so too, but I guess not.
He's been great.
Yeah, he's been much better.
Yeah, I kind of like this Arizona 1 combination. What's their cost at though? So Arizona 1, 13,000. So that's another correlation play. That'll probably be a really popular stack combination with Colorado, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
especially with Hall out, and just you can pair that with is it Kemper tonight or is it Hill?
Kemper.
So pair that with Kemper. Kemper's actually priced up a little bit. It's not ideal, but I might even go with Grubauer at that point just for an extra 200. But that's not a bad option.
Yeah, I think I'm going to mix and match a lot of these line combos, but they're all cheap, right? They'll all fit nicely with Colorado 1.
Yep.
See a question in chat here from Bobby Boom asking thoughts on fading Colorado 1 for Colorado 2, just back from the last game. So we've been talking about what lines we can fit with Colorado 1, but to go back to that, I think that's not a bad idea. You can have some of them. I mean, the thing is, I really like the power play spot for Colorado, and to have all three of the top line together, it's kind of the smash spot for me. I think you can definitely play the second line, though. The Rangers' depth lines are pretty weak defensively. So I think it's fine. I just really like Colorado 1 despite the chalk.
Yeah, I agree. It's just I don't know. They're just far and away the best line tonight. I would be on Dallas 1 again if Ben was on, but yeah. Any goaltenders you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I could take a stab on Blackwood at 7,300 against Arizona, who can struggle to score goals at times. The Devils haven't been great on allowing shot attempts over their last 10 games or so. Pretty poor, actually. Pretty poor shot attempt or Corsi for percentage. Looking at their high danger chances against, they've been worse as well. So I think he's definitely going to see volume here tonight from Arizona. And Arizona doesn't have a ton of talent beyond the top line. They're generating an average amount of shot attempts and high danger chances. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm slightly more interested in Blackwood here than Kemper.
Yeah, sounds good. I would kind of take the opposite, maybe just because, like, I mean, I guess with Hall out, they're usually averaging more shots per game, but I guess that's not really all that exciting. Yeah, I would probably just correlation play Arizona with or Kemper with Arizona 1 and call it a day.
Yeah, I do like that. I can see myself having a lot of this game, but more just in an MME mix and match scenario.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
choosing one out of this game, because I think the top two lines on both teams are very reasonable, and both goalies are reasonable as well.
100%. All right, final game of the night. Vegas Golden Knights at the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks are implied for 2.6 goals, which is not very much. The Vegas Golden Knights are implied for 3 goals and are minus 133 favorites. We've got a bunch of new line combinations not a bunch, but the top 2 lines have been shuffled. Kasha with Enrique and Ritchie, Kiefer Sherwood with Getzlaf and Sprong. The power plays are screwed up. I couldn't find any confirmation on this, but Andy Walensky is listed on the power play 1.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I trust it.
Yeah, I don't trust it either, to be honest. So, and I couldn't find any Ducks beat writer talking about it. And but like the thing is, like, I generally don't trust line sites when they're just sort of like either guessing or being lazy, but there's no real reason to guess at this, like maybe they just have a source that I can't find. So my inclination is it's entirely possible that he's on there, but like, why would you just randomly put Kessler and then if you didn't sort of have a source first, right?
Yeah, I don't, well, actually, no, look, last game he was there. So that's usually what I like to do is look at last game. I thought he was there. It was Walensky, Montour, Kessler, Kasha, and Getzlaf on one unit. But they played the exact same time as the second unit, very small amounts. So
they played. I'm seeing like a 75 share for the other one for Lindholm.
I'm just looking at graphical images. They looked about the same amount.
Okay, yeah, fair. So there you go. These power plays probably there isn't like as soon as I saw them, I thought that Anaheim's second power play was probably better than the first one in spite of Kasha and Getzlaf, but both. I wrote up Walensky as a cheap option at the bare min, but I actually don't think I'll go there. His ice time's just not. He gets like 10 minutes a game. So, any either of these lines intriguing you on either side?
Yeah, I wanted to look into some line matching a bit more. What did they do last game? So they're still using Kessler as the shutdown line.
Yeah.
Getzlaf against 2. Henrique against 3. So, yeah, I'm liking from Anaheim's side. It would be the Henrique line. Their numbers are the best. I believe. Like, I like Sprong as a one-off there, playing with Getzlaf. He's seeing some power play time. That's pretty good. I don't like Sherwood being there. So the line is a stack. I don't love it. But if you're just going to stack a full line, I definitely prefer the Henrique line. The thing with the Kessler line is they're likely to play against the Carlson line, which is the best line for Vegas.
Yep.
So just from the home side, I prefer the Henrique line if I'm going to play anyone. I think the Vegas third line, they got Pacioretty there with Eakin and Carpenter, I believe. I don't know how long that's going to last either before they swap him with Peary. But
both of those lines have are cheap anyways. Like Arizona 1, 12-6. On DK, 12-5 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
and Arizona 2, or Arizona, that was Arizona 2, sorry, Arizona 1, 10-8. So there's some, it's kind of, I wish they hadn't broken them up because it would be kind of a nice spot. But and then on the Vegas side, Ducks are still giving up a ton of chances, hey? Like, even though they've sort of positively regressed from their abysmal start this season, they've come back to the pack, but they're still leading. In the last month, they're leading the NHL in high danger chances against at all strength at home. So I'm kind of interested in Vegas as well. Like, Vegas 1 is sort of, the price has gone down a little bit. I don't know. They're still, obviously, I've heard you talk about them. They've generated a ton of chances. They have full power play correlation. What are your thoughts on the Vegas side of this game?
Yeah, I do like that. The full power play correlation is kind of the key here. The Ducks, that's been a big weak spot for them recently, is penalty kill, taking a lot of penalties. Penalty kill has been terrible.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the Kessler line, we have a much larger sample on them than we do the Getzlaf line. And they just have a pretty poor Corsi for percentage and high danger chances allowed. So we know that, and that's likely to be the hard matchup. So I think it's a good spot for Vegas 1 for sure. And Vegas 1 is going to project higher in general because of long-term numbers. The second line hasn't really been together for that long.
Yeah, and they're kind of overpriced right now, aren't they?
The second line, yeah. But yeah, they're so from a value perspective, yes, they're projecting terribly on pretty much everything I've looked at. They don't project well at all. But if you look at their actual line stat numbers, they're very solid over a small sample there.
And then if you want a little sneak play, Pacioretty is expected to suit up tonight. He's still listed as on the DL on these sites, along with Mantha as well. So that does scare your kind of novices off a lot. So you tend to get them at probably, I don't know, half the ownership they would normally be.
Yeah. But just, looking over some of the numbers here on the sample sizes, the second line is generating a much higher volume of shots than even the first line for Vegas, and higher high danger chances as well.
Wow. But how many is that, like a 4-game sample size?
So that's 50 minutes. That's more than a lot of the other samples we've been talking about. That's about 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
And then even period Stastny without Tuck has been pretty solid over a smaller sample as well. So overall, I think the period Stastny Tuck combo is very solid shot generating line. They shouldn't be too popular at that price tag, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because of all the other lines we've talked about tonight that have been pretty chalky.
That's interesting. Just out of curiosity, like I'm just looking at their last 4 games here. Would any of those, would that have to do with anything with matchups? Like 2 games against Los Angeles, would they be like possibly going up against that Kopitar line a little bit more, and then that would probably lower Vegas's ones. Ability to generate chances a little bit, but
very likely, yeah. I mean, Vegas 1 hasn't been bad in any of those areas by any means.
Yeah,
it's just that the second line's had much more. So I think, just being a second line, you see less attention generally from the opposing team. So you're on the road here. My guess is they play against the Getzlaf line. We only have 9 minutes on that Getzlaf combination. They weren't very good in those 9 minutes, but it was against Tampa Bay, so
can't fault them.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really read too much into that.
I also like Hampus Lindholm. I think at that price, he's been priced down. He's up at 5,500. Nothing's really changed. He just hasn't really been getting points. So I think he's probably a very solid option at that price. I'm going to have him a lot tonight. Do you like him?
I like him and Montour as well, 4,200. Probably just be going to those guys on that team. Vegas will generate a lot of shots against Anaheim here. So I think it's a spot to take some contrarian plays on Gibson and then some high event defensemen like Lindholm and Montour.
Yeah, so you're on Gibson a little bit?
Yeah, I think he's worth it in GVPs. They should see a ton of shot volume. So if he has one of those stand on his head performances, it could be a good spot for him.
That's the thing. It's like even if Anaheim's numbers are horrible, you've got Gibson back there kind of mitigating it, right? So it's very tough to tell sometimes. And Anaheim's not on a back-to-back, so they will probably be loading up Gibson, I'm guessing, tonight. I don't see why they wouldn't be. All right, we got like a minute left. Any other general thoughts on this slate?
Just general thoughts. If you're playing single entry, 3 max kind of stuff like that, just know that Colorado is going to be even chalkier than MME formats. Yeah. So, and then pretty much any other line is going to be not that highly owned. Ones that don't necessarily fit perfectly with them salary wise. So the cheaper lines will see maybe a bit more of an uptick in those contests, just being fits with Colorado. But the mid-price lines, if you just wanted to go 2 mid-price lines together, that would be a good way to have a contrarian approach. So just something to keep in mind for tonight.
I love it. I'm all in on Colorado 1, but I definitely think you gotta be smart about it, mix and match,
Yeah.
get some of these other lines in. I like the game stack of the Jets and Penguins. I think that's contrarian. The Rangers 1 game stack with Colorado, and just kind of try and find some unique lines if you're going with Colorado.
Yep, love it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I'm not sure if we're back with the show tomorrow or what we're doing, but we will be in the chat and we'll share on Twitter if you're interested in getting a little bit of info before lock tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be crap slates everywhere because there's football on, so we'll just have to deal with it. But good luck, everyone, tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.